Some heroes rise in shining armor. Others fight their battles in the shadows. Some are honored in their time, and some are remembered only when it's too late. Ken the Snake Stabler wasn't your typical quarterback. He wasn't polished, he wasn't perfect, and he sure as hell didn't play by the rules. Yet, he did something few can ever claim to have done. He dominated the game in ways that defined an entire era. But for all his brilliance on the field, the price Ken Stabler paid off it was steep. His life, marked by triumph and tragedy, tells the story of a man who was both a legend and a cautionary tale. This is the true heartbreaking and untamed story of Ken the Snake Stabler, the Raiders' outlaw legend. To understand Ken Stabler, you have to understand one moment, one play, that defined his career. It's 1978, a late-season game between the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers. The clock's ticking, the game's tied, and the stakes are as high as they get. With just seconds left in the game, Stabler, under pressure, drops back to pass. But then it happens. Stabler fumbles. Or did he? Many thought it was a mistake. A careless slip of the hand, an unfortunate misstep. But Stabler knew exactly what he was doing. He kicked the ball forward, sending it toward his teammates who batted and kicked it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown. The Raiders win. The NFL was thrown into chaos. The controversial play, known as the Holy Roller, led to a rule change in the league, but for those who witnessed it, it wasn't just about a play. It was about Stabler's ability to stay cool under pressure, to adapt when the odds were stacked against him, and to thrive in the chaos. That was Ken Stabler, many would say. Cool under pressure, cunning in chaos, and never afraid to bend the rules to win. It was moments like this that solidified his place in the hearts of Raiders fans. But even more than that, this play was a testament to the Snake's mentality. If the rules weren't enough to get the job done, he'd find another way. And let's not forget his crowning achievement. Super Bowl XI, 1977. Stabler led the Raiders to a dominant victory over the Minnesota Vikings, a victory that would cement his place in NFL history. But as we know, even legends like him aren't always remembered for their glory moments. Ken Stabler wasn't always a household name. He didn't come from a place of luxury or privilege. Raised in the small town of Foley, Alabama, he came from humble beginnings, a child of the South, where football was more than just a game, it was a way of life. Stabler's journey to the NFL wasn't easy. He had talent, yes, but it was under the legendary coach Bear Bryant at the University of Alabama where Stabler's legacy truly began to take shape. Bryant, known for shaping some of the best quarterbacks in history, saw something in Stabler that few others did. He wasn't the most polished player, but he was a gamer. Someone who could make something out of nothing, a quarterback who wasn't afraid to take risks. It was during his college years that Stabler earned the nickname, the Snake. The term came from his ability to slither out of tight situations, making plays that others wouldn't have dared to attempt. It was a fitting nickname for someone who would later become famous for his ability to escape pressure and deliver in the most unpredictable moments. Stabler's journey to the NFL wasn't immediate. He was drafted by the Oakland Raiders in the second round of the 1968 draft, but it wasn't until 1973 that he took over as starting quarterback. His rise wasn't marked by instant success. He faced the challenge of stepping into a team led by legendary head coach John Madden, and his early years were filled with growing pains. But Stabler, ever the competitor, didn't shy away from adversity. By 1974, Stabler was in full stride. He had an uncanny ability to keep his composure, especially in clutch moments. He became known as the ultimate comeback king, always finding a way to bring his team back from the brink of defeat. Whether it was a last-minute touchdown pass, a gutsy scramble, or a risk-taking throw, Stabler became the person the Raiders turned to when everything was on the line. His ability to stay calm when everyone else was losing their heads made him the perfect leader for a team that embodied a no-nonsense, rebellious attitude. Ken Stabler didn't just play the quarterback position. He defined it for an entire generation. He wasn't the most physically imposing quarterback, nor was he known for having the strongest arm. But what he lacked in technical precision, he more than made up for with his poise, his intelligence, and his ability to read the game like few others. On the field, Stabler had the perfect mix of swagger and grit, the kind of confidence that made his teammates believe anything was possible. He didn't just throw touchdowns, he threw them with flair, with precision, and with a sense of drama that made every pass feel like it could be the one that changed everything. In a time when the NFL was dominated by legends like Terry Bradshaw, Roger Staubach, and Fran Tarkenton, Stabler's brand of play was uniquely his own. He was the quintessential Raiders quarterback, tough, fearless, and never backing down from a challenge. But Stabler's brilliance on the field was often overshadowed by his struggles off of it. Behind the bravado and the big throws was a man who couldn't escape the darkness that often followed fame. Stabler's off-field lifestyle was filled with partying, drinking, and bad decisions. He had a reputation as a man who played just as hard off the field as he did on it. His personal life was messy, marked by numerous DUIs, a domestic violence accusation, and clashes with the media. Stabler's wild, rebellious nature, the very thing that made him a hero to some, was also his undoing. The Snake wasn't just feared on the field, he was a controversial figure who seemed to live his life in constant defiance of the rules, not just in football but in life itself. This chaotic existence caught up with him, and it seemed like every time he got close to happiness or stability, his past would come rushing back to haunt him. By the time Ken Stabler reached his later years, his body too began to betray him. In 2015, Stabler was diagnosed with colon cancer. The man who had once dodged every hit on the field, who had survived the brutality of NFL football, was now fighting a battle he couldn't win. He passed away on July 8, 2015, leaving behind a legacy of glory and sorrow. Months after his death, it was revealed that Stabler had been suffering from CTE, a degenerative brain disease caused by repeated head trauma, a stark reminder of the physical toll football took on its players. One of the most tragic elements of Stabler's life was the fact that, despite his greatness, he was never inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame while he was alive. It wasn't until 2016, a year after his death, that Stabler was finally given the honor he had long deserved. It was a bittersweet moment for his family, his friends, and his fans. A posthumous recognition of a man whose greatness had been ignored for far too long. Ken Stabler's impact on the NFL cannot be overstated. He changed how quarterbacks played the game. His cool demeanor in the pocket, his uncanny ability to make something out of nothing, and his fearlessness under pressure set the standard for future generations of quarterbacks. But the story of Ken Stabler isn't just one of greatness. It's also a cautionary tale of a man who, for all his brilliance on the field, couldn't escape the demons that haunted him off it. His story is both inspiring and tragic, a reminder of the price that many great athletes pay for their fame, their glory, and their legacy. If Ken Stabler's fight, his spirit, and his story moved you, share this video. Let the world remember the Snake. Because legends like him should never fade away. The Snake may have been wild, brilliant, and tragic, but his story, one of triumph, turmoil, and an unforgettable legacy, will live on forever.